Welcome everyone back to the channel. Now if you can't recognise this stunning venue which is behind me, we're here at Patshull Park Fishery just outside Telford. Now this is not the normal fishery you used to see myself at. It's a natural style lake and where it's got perch, roach, skimmers, some big bream in it as well. You can have cracking weights in matches. Now there's a reason why we're here today. Recently I fished a real elite pairs qualifier with Andy Amos and lucky enough we won the pairs on the day. So that means we've got a final on the 14th and 15th of August to look forward to. But as in all fishing, I believe practice makes perfect. Now, what I want to do, I don't believe I'm very strong or confident on a short feeder catching small skimmers, and there's a lot of good anglers qualified for this final. So what I wanted to do is come down and have a little go and try and get a few things worked out and a confidence in my short feeder game. Like I said, I haven't really done much of it, but I get the ideas and gist of it. But what I wanted to do is bring the cameras along and you guys along to go through it and see how I go about practicing. And importantly, if you want to improve your fishing or see about trying to work out practicing, how I go about it, trying different things and mixing it up, then you're going to see it all in this video. So that's enough talk. Let's get down to the pegs now and get some fish caught. So let's move on to the ground bait choice. We've got today's practice session. Now, with all my fishing, I like to be confident with the bait I'm using. Now, with coming on matches, it's a bit risky to try a new ground bait, because if you don't catch, you'll lose confidence in that ground bait, and that could be just down to your peg or the way it's fished on the day. So ideally, practice sessions like this are perfect to try new ground baits out and new mixes which you've thought about in your head. Now, these two ground baits I've got today are new from Sonia Baits. I've got Thatcher's green. Now Thatcher's has been brilliant in the original and the dark colour, and this time we got it in green. Now I know from a lot of people catching, you see it on Facebook a lot, and I keep an eye on it, people that catch a lot of skimmers and bream use a bit of green ground bait. So I'm going to couple this with the sweet skimmer, sorry, not the super seat, sweet skimmer. Now this is a non-fish meal ground bait, so we're going to use 2 to 1 of this in my Thatcher's green. And the ideal, I've looked at the bottom today and I wanted to try and match the bottom so I don't try and spook any bream or skimmers out my peg or any fish there. That's my thoughts on the process. So what we're going to do is mix it up now. So we're going to use a whole bag of this and half a bag of green. So ideally, just open your bag up, tip them in there. Now you have to be careful with this not being to the norm. If you go on a commercial with non-fish meal ground mix, you haven't really got like loads of pellets and fish meals in to soak up the water. So you've got to be really careful how you mix it. So I'm just going to get the green in now. Of course the Thatcher's has got pellets in, but it's one thing I've done in the past. I've put too much water in, I've wrecked my mix. And the last thing I want, this is the only ground bait I've got with me today. If I wreck this mix now, we're going home because I've got no ground bait. So take it nice and gentle and nice and easy. So ideally when you put them into your bucket, give them a mix round so everything's nicely together. Now I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way, sort of, just a bit at a time. Put quite a bit of volume in to start with, not too much, a bit at a time, see how it happens. Last thing, like I said, the last thing I wanted to do is wreck my ground bait, and then I'm knackered then for the rest of the day. So there's still a bit of dry bits there, so I'm just going to tip a little bit more in. Straight away, that sweet skimmer just smells dead caramelly. Now, I haven't actually used any of these products yet in the Sonia Baits range, so it'll be interesting to see how we get on with it today. That's why these practice sessions are ideal. We're coming down, catching a few fish. Now, I'd say if that was a commercial mix, I'd probably add more water, but with me not knowing the mix, I'm just going to take it easy. It forms a ball, it's not claggy, but I feel there's a bit of water in there. So what I'm going to do is not add too much more now. I'm going to leave this for 30 minutes, and we'll come back and see how it goes. But just being on the cautious side with the new mix, just mixed it up, not took a load of water on, so it'll probably dry out, but you can always add more. Once you put it in, you can't take it out, obviously, and we haven't got any ground bait, so I'm a bit concerned if I mess this up today, we're not fishing, we're going home. So I'm just going to leave that 15 minutes, oh, half an hour, sorry, come back and we'll talk you through the bait we've got today, and we'll finish this ground bait off. Right, so we come back to the ground bait now, and it's dried out slightly, but what I'm going to do is just going to riddle this, put it for the riddle and use it quite dry to start with, because what I want to do is I want to play around with my mix, with dry mix, a bit wetter, stuff like that, different style feeders. So because I haven't done it much, I want to have a play with it and I want to keep it dry to start with. So I'm just going to riddle it off, chuck it on my riddle, pass it through. Now this sweet skimmer just smells dead caramelly, so hopefully that non-fish meal of that, and then a bit of the Thatchers, which is known to catching loads of skimmers and bream, you can catch these fish. But today it's all just about learning, get a bit of knowledge, learning things, so keep that going through, nice and fine. There we go, nice and fluffy. Still a bit of weight in there, but it's nice and dry, and we can use it to manipulate it to how we want to fish with it. But that's your mix. Just going to try it out, so hopefully let's go and catch some fish and get on the box. Right, so we're on the box now, and firstly you might be thinking, where have I decided to fish? Well, because I want to practice my short feeder work, because I don't really do it that often, I chose to fish like 25 metres. So my rod I'm using is just a 10-foot Superior SL, nice and light and perfect for this work. All them top feeder guys use it, so I thought why not get amongst it and get one myself. Now I've got a 4000 reel, so it's nice and powerful, centrist this one, nice and powerful so you're winding fish back, and I've got 010 absolute braid on there. Now the reason why I'm using braid is because when you're fishing for smaller skimmers on natural venues and stuff like that, if you haven't done it before, braid just enables you to see them sharp indications and little bites you can get off them. And simply I'm going to fish braid like ideally direct, so I'll be casting off the braid, and I've just got a short piece of 10-pound line to a little link, a feeder link which I've just made, and my feeder on there, and then I've just got a twizzle loop just to make sure they kick the hook length away. Now the hook length dead simple, I'm not a fan of tying hooks, so I'm using the pre-tied N13 or 14, 015, so 14, and get a few maggots on there, a few pinkies, and catch a few fish. If I need to drop down aside, I've got them in my box there. Now you may be thinking, well, what feeders am I going to use? Well, my thinking is I've got a little cage feeder here, a little cage feeder from Preston there, and I've also got the hex mesh feeder. Now I started on this feeder just as we got going, but we've just stopped fishing now to talk through it. But I started on this feeder, then I taped up one here, just so it allows us bait if there's any fish coming up in the water, and I've got the same again if the wind gets up. Now, with me fishing 25 metres, yes, I probably could go 30 metres with the conditions today, but one thing I've found with the matches I have fished on natural venues, you don't want to be going too far where the weather conditions can change and you can't hit your spot. It's important to be at the same spot, nice and accurate, same with all fishing, nice and accurate, catches you more fish. So what I did was to start, I just chucked an ounce bomb, just did the count. If you don't know what the count means, it's just counting your bomb down to the bottom, so it's about 3 seconds here, so it's probably about 9 foot deep out there. Roughly, it's just a rough guide, so 8-9 foot deep out there, so that's where I've chose to fish, so I can hit the clip nice and easy on the 10-foot rod without doing too much work. If you try and push your rod to the limit, you could end up breaking your rod, or breaking your tip, or breaking your line, or cracking off, and that's the last thing you want. You should be nice and sensible, nice and catching your fish. So what I'm going to do now is just spin round, I'll whack my GoPro on, you can see what bait we've got, and then we'll try and catch you a few fish for the camera. But we've learned a little bit already, so we'll get that sorted now. Right, so just going to get the feeder loaded now and try and catch you a few fish on the cameras and a few things we've learned. So what I'm going to do, I've got my feeder set up here. I'm going to do is I've literally been putting a few casters and a little bit bitter corn in my mix there, and then I've just literally been putting a maggot and 2 pinkies on. That seems best hook bait for the little skimmers we're catching. We're just getting regular bites off them. We've had a big skimmer and a big bream. That was on the same hook bait, so I don't think it matters too much. I'll put a bit of corn through just so we can try and catch some bigger fish, but hit your clip. Like I said, it's really important to try and get that same spot. Now, one thing I've learned is when we've got like a dry mix and there's a few fish in the peg, you're getting bites really quickly. I'm just trying to keep a little tension in my tip all the time. It's one way I found I can hit the bites properly. We do regular chucks, not been sort of doing the traditional bream that's sitting there for 15 minutes waiting for it to tow round. I've been like 90 seconds to 3 minutes, keep winding it in, minute and a half to 3 minutes, keep working it, keep changing the things. I've been trying, that's me mix at the minute. So it's got a few bits and bobs. It's quite heavier than it has been. Hopefully I can catch one for you, but been playing about with putting casters through. Casters have been the main thing going through the feeder. We have got some worms, I haven't tried them yet. But when I started on the hex mesh feeder, at the start I was catching small skimmers like, say, 2 to 4 ounce. I had the odd bigger one, but felt my feeder was a bit heavy. I don't know whether, obviously like I say I don't do it much, but I just felt it was a bit too heavy. So what I did was put a lighter feeder on. This all of a sudden just got more bites on the settle. And one thing I noticed was I had to shorten my hook length down. Now I just had a metre hook length on straight off the spool, so I've shortened it down now, and it's been better for connecting with the bites. I've had a lot less bites on the way down, but we had no missed bites, rarely. So hopefully that's one thing to pick up on. It's alright having a longer hook length and maybe missing a few bites, but you're going to be nice and efficient with this fishing, I reckon. Say when using braid, it just over mono, it just picks up them shy little bites off them smaller fish, and just last thing you want is to sit there with no bait on. It's been nicked off the fish and you haven't seen a sign on your tip. So with the no stretch in the braid, it just allows you to see all them little dinks and plugs on your tip, which in theory allows you to make decisions. It's effectively same as a pole float, your tip. So if your pole float was moving or bobbing round or doing something different, you wouldn't just sit there and not change. You'd change something, either your feeding or the way you were fishing. Now it's the same with the tip. That's what I'm trying to work off, when I'm practicing. And one thing I can do, I've got this dryer mix, so we can always just have a quick few chucks, try and make a little bit of a cloud, and see if it draws a bite in. I'll wind that in. What I'm going to do is just literally feed a nice tight cloud there, not squeeze it too hard. Chuck it back out. Rattle on the tip then on the way down. keep in contact. It's been like prime time when we got a few bites of them little skimmers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this quite quickly, so just make a little column through the water, and then I'm going to drop back onto me, mix with a few particles in, slightly heavier because I used an atomizer, just to wet it down. So that's set now. I'll probably give it about 40 seconds and then I'll wind it in again. You got a little rattle then on the tip. You're going to develop. The liner then. So I'm just trying to find little ways and tricks to just keep fish coming. There'll be stages in the match, I think, where you're going to struggle to line them up, and if you can work some little tricks out, I mean, fishing a bit of drier ground bait, fishing a really sloppy one, fishing some with some bait in, maybe putting a bit of corn in just to say some bigger fish, so you sit there and wait at certain times. So that's why we've come down and practiced it, but also it's just getting a feel for it. It's not the norm, wading out in the lake, putting your box on a platform, fishing with braid for myself, fishing with a bit lighter rods, barbed hooks. It's not the norm what I'm used to, so it's just nice to come down, get a feel for it, and you're not coming to, say, the 2-day final which we've got undergunned, and the main importance is confidence. So I'm going to wind that in. Main importance, confidence. The last thing I want is to come and not be confident in the gear I'm using now. I want to be able to know the gear that I'm using is right and get the most from it. So what I'm going to do is just put 2 pinkies on just to see if we can nick a fish. Good indication then straight away, but never developed. So nice and dry again. Nice dry mix. Whack it out. Keep it tight. Fish just topped over the ground bait, so gotta be careful of that dry mix in case we keep feeding it all the time. It might bring the fish off the bottom, then it will make them really hard to catch. But for now, I'm just going to try and work a few things out and try and get one for you. A bite there, I think. Oh, I think we've got one. I might have missed it. I missed it? No, I think I've got him. Oh, we got him. Little skimmer, that one. Make sure I net him because they have a tendency to fall off. There you go. Little skimmer. So, yeah, a little change to 2 pinkies there. Just brought that skimmer dead quick. Comparison, so trying to drop my rod in the lake. So we caught that skimmer quickly. So what I'm going to do, I'll do it one more time, and then I'll do something a little different if it works again. Just to see these little things. So I've got 2 pinkies on there. Now we fed it dry, the ground bait as well. Finger caught them on. Nice and dry, so like I'll just put that in the ground bait and just literally lightly squeeze it, so hopefully on the way down it comes out, it creates a nice cloud and draws any fish in the pipe. So rattle on the way down then. Hopefully one of them fish is on there. I swear there was. Yeah, there's a fish on there, so all of a sudden, swing him, he's only small. Just caught a fish, but the fish are lingering off the bottom, I think. So I'll do it again one more time, and then if not, if the same happens again, or we get a lot of indications on the way down, because we've been putting that cloud in, I feel like the fish just off the bottom slightly. So what we can do is you can revert it back to making a bit wetter mix. So literally I've just scooped my feeder and just literally puffing it in, make sure it's in. And the only thing with barb ducks is nicking your landing net. Luckily we got that one out. So it might be a smaller fish, but it's all about confidence, keeping that in a straight line all the time. So that was a bite on the drop again, that one. So there now, we're getting bites on this drop, which I can't control. So what I want to do now is, I'm going to get a couple of handfuls in there. I'm going to get my atomizer. Not too wet, because I'll end up having the same problem if I make a cloud. Make that slightly damp. Put a few more particles in, hopefully. And get your bait to the bottom. And catch some fish. What might happen is you might get rattled on the way down as well. Okay, there we go, I think I got another one. So we're catching. Man, I put a bigger hook bait on now, I'm thinking. So every time, thinking, oh, sharp them up, it's on my finger. So I'm thinking, right, we've caught one on double pinky. So that's a good hook bait to get a bite. So now we just try a maggot and two pinkies, just see the difference. Might be a little bit larger hook bait. Might not be able to get it in the mouth on the way down, so they have to go down to the bottom and eat it. Got a slightly heavier mix. I'm going to put a few casters in there as well. Feels a bit damper, that one. It feels like stodgier. It's not really stodgy, but it feels it. Straight line again. It's all about confidence. I'm going to jinx myself now, I'm catching on the drop. But thing is that cloud change, a few bits of cloud and that slightly loose ground bait just brought a lot of fish in the peg. It's going to be it's a roach that time. So it's all about, we've got fish there now, we can work with stuff. I'll put 3 maggots on just to single out a bigger fish for you, but that's what we've been doing today. Catching a few fish up Patshull. Put a few more casters in. Bit of corn in there as well. Any big bream about. Like I said, it's just getting about confidence, practicing all the lines. Importance. Getting things right. Try and catch one more. See there now, that's the longest we've had that tip in the water now for the past 4 chucks. So a slight change. It's got a bait to a bottom. Don't get me wrong, might catch a bit smaller fish on the bottom, but we've also got the chance of a bigger fish, a big skimmer or a big bream. So all of a sudden we feel like we're understanding our peg a little bit more. I'm just being nice and patient now. get the next mix ready up for the next one. So drop a little bit of corn in, a few more casters, try and be a bit more selective. Gives them fish something to eat. Oh, it's a bite then. I got him? Not sure. So I'm going to end on this one, I think. Nice skimmer. Oh, just swing, be able to swing him. It's a little skimmer, so maybe if your peg's full of these ones, you need to fish a little bit different way, but I'm going to carry on having a little practice, hopefully work a few more things out, but just wanted to bring you along here today to Patshull to show you how I go about practicing, what I've got set up, what you need if you wanted to get into this sort of fishing. Like I say, I'm not an expert at this, I wouldn't say an expert at fishing, but haven't done it a lot, so that's why I've come down, put a bit of time in, sorting a few things out and just enjoying my day, because to be honest I can't think of anything better to do than sit here in the surroundings catching a few fish on a platform on a short feeder. So I'll see you guys on the bank soon. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what you see, don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Also, if you're looking to improve your fishing, head over to my members channel in the description below so you can see live matches, in-depth methods and much more to help you guys improve your fishing.